Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Hong Kong film. Starting with Little Brother's Promise, Explosive Soldier Conquers. Cao Rong traveled through the world of Hong Kong films and became a pawn under the command of Liansheng Hongcunba. At the beginning, he was assassinated by Chen Haonan, and Cao Rong activated the summoning explosive weapon system. Nuo Shou, Drey Pai Ching policewoman, playmaster, wolf, Black Knight from club newcomers, to Hong Kong Island hegemons, to the sun never sets, to the world emperors. Awakening to the power of the world, lying drunk on the knees of beauty. Sun never sets in Hong Kong Island tycoon. Cao Rong, don't go too far. Cao Rong. Excessive. My brother is invincible in the world. Elizabeth and the beauty of Hong Kong Island. Brother Rong, can you do it? Cao Rong. Just kidding, my second brother is invincible in the world. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 001, Summoning, the Hand of Noxus. Drey. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kowloon, Grand Palace Bathing Center. It's only a few hundred yuan a month, what's the point of playing with fate? Cao Rong looked around at the short mules with bruises and swollen faces, and sighed silently. Half a month ago, by chance, Cao Rong traveled to the Hong Kong film world and became a pawn under the command of Liansheng Red Stick. Just as I crossed over, I came across Liansheng Hongcunba. Originally, Cao Rong intended to stay away from the dispute of right and wrong, but he met a Hongxingzi who was so determined that he rushed towards him with a knife. Accidentally, he killed that Hongxingzi. Originally, Cao Rong planned to withdraw from the club after the horse show. But because someone died on their hands. Once you withdraw from the club, you will inevitably face retaliation from Hongxing. Helpless, I can only shrink into the club and endure until now. In order to make Hongxing's people feel uneasy. By chance, Cao Rong found the roster at Tanko and changed his time of visiting from half a month to 9 years. Looking at the 4 or 9 young men with scars around him, Cao Rong really couldn't understand why his predecessor had to work so hard. As a curious young man, he only costs a few hundred yuan per month, which is a remarkable one. At this moment, the voices of other horses discussing came from around. Hey, have you heard about it? Brother Ba will not pay for the soup and medicine this time. Damn it. You don't even pay for soup and medicine, right? Hey. Hongxing's people may retaliate at any time, even swallowing the soup and medicine costs alone. How can they take the crowd down like this? He counted himself, took more than all of us, and now he even spends his own money on soup and medicine. Shoo, keep it down, don't you want to live? The murmurs of the horses all fell into Cao Rong's ears. What's the noise? Hurry up and finish wiping the medicine, get dressed. Cao Rong scolded impatiently. When the horses learned that Cao Rong had killed Hongxingzi, they immediately dared not speak much and quickly lowered their heads to do their own business. After drinking these little horses, Cao Rong also put down the medicine in his hand and untied his bathrobe. Looking in the mirror, with 8 abdominal muscles and a sturdy body that was not fat, Cao Rong finally had a satisfied expression in his eyes. Since coming into this world, my body seems to have strengthened to a certain extent, and my overall quality has improved significantly compared to before. It was precisely because of this that Cao Rong was able to take down the old 49 of Hongxing. But now, upon hearing that Ba Guan refused to pay for the soup and medicine, Cao Rong couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The boss of the short-lived ghost, Ba Guan, on the stall is really unlucky. Cao Rong let out a soft sigh in his heart. The conflict with Liansheng and Hongxing is getting deeper and deeper now. According to the plot, it won't be long before Ba Guan is killed by Hongxing's Chen Haonan and others. And then, where should I go? As a descendant, Cao Rong knew that being a short mule could never last long. With one foot in the prison and the other in the underworld, he might end up in the streets one day. But if we withdraw and win now, without the protection of the club, our enemies will definitely come to our door as soon as possible. The outcome must be extremely tragic. Although we cannot go all the way to the dark, at present, in order to save our lives, we can only bow down and win with Liansheng first. But with such a big shot like Ba Guan, wanting to stand out is simply a pipe dream. Cao Rong pondered deeply in his heart. Suddenly, a hint of killing intent flashed through his eyes. The current Hong Kong island is still under the jurisdiction of the Sun, with numerous clubs and chaotic order. In this world of cannibalism, only by being ruthless can one stand firm. Cao Rong doesn't consider himself a good person, but what does conscience count for in order to survive? A great man born in heaven and earth, how can he remain depressed for a long time? Instead of being an insignificant horse, it's better to. In Cao Rong's eyes, there was a glint of brilliance. A person who is not ruthless cannot stand steadily. If Chen Haonan doesn't take action, then Cao Rong doesn't mind and can take care of Ba Guan himself. Ba Guan is a guy who is inherently unfair in his actions, and treats his subordinates with violence and abuse. The ponies below dare not speak up or be angry. Taking down this scumbag and replacing it, Cao Rong can be said to have no guilt in his heart. Anyway, my qualifications have also been changed to 9 years. Not to mention being a red stick, it's not too much to be a hall master. Since we are currently unable to withdraw and win together. So why don't you just reach the top, then retreat and remotely command? This is currently the most secure and suitable means of survival. Just as Cao Rong had decided in his heart to give it his all. Ding! Detected that the hosts will is extremely matched with the Hong Kong film world, and the owl mail system is activated. Summoning quota +1, summoning target. Random characters from the Noxas Legion. Do you want to summon immediately? A mechanical sound echoed in Cao Rong's mind. Summon immediately. Cao Rong thought to himself. The system is a standard feature for the traveler, and Cao Rong was pleasantly surprised, but there were no surprises. Ding! Summoned successfully, congratulations to the host for obtaining the loyalty of the Hand of Noxus. Drey. Please choose to appear immediately or in a nearby safe location. There is a safe spot nearby. Cao Rong thought to himself. There are many young horses in the bathhouse now. Suddenly transforming into a living person will inevitably attract the attention of others, and appearing in a nearby safe location is undoubtedly the best choice. Ding! Success has been achieved, and Drey is rushing towards the host, expected to arrive in 10 minutes. Host summons Drey and gains the trait. The resilience of Noxus. Should we immediately accept the trait? Accept. Accompanied by Cao Rong's heart moving. Suddenly, a warm current appeared in the chest, gradually dissipating towards all 4 limbs. Cao Rong only felt comfortable all over. The scars from his previous battle with Hong Xing dissipated at a visible speed, and an indescribable force emerged from his body. About a minute has passed. This warm current is gradually disappearing. Cao Rong looked around and found that no one was watching him, his palms secretly exerting force. In just a moment, the steel pipe armrest on the iron chair was deformed by Cao Rong's pinching. Damn it, so fierce. Seeing this scene, Cao Rong was immediately delighted in his heart. Seeing that the Owl Hero system can not only summon characters from other worlds to be loyal to oneself, but also receive corresponding rewards when summoning to strengthen oneself. Summoning once, double happiness. Cao Rong murmured softly. At this moment, Brother Ba has come over, let's go to the lobby, the waiter shouted at the door. Ba is closed. 002, Nuoshou. Dong Rongge, you have to ask me first. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Has Ba closed? Cao Rong narrowed his eyes slightly as he heard the words. Under the guidance of the waiter, Cao Rong and more than 10 other horses around him arrived at the bathhouse lobby. At this time, the bathhouse was still empty before business hours. Cao Rong looked around and finally focused his gaze on the center of the bathhouse. In the rest area in the center of the bathhouse, Ba Guan was thrusting his stomach and lying on the sofa with half-closed eyes. The bathhouse waiter and manager stood respectfully beside him, along with a few close quarters. "Brother Ba Guan. Buddy. Brother Ba, you're here." When the gang saw Ba Guan, they quickly greeted him. "Let's all sit down." Ba closed his eyes and looked around at everyone. His gaze paused slightly on Cao Rong's body before moving away as if nothing had happened. After everyone sits down, Ba Guan gave a glance to his confidant beside him. That confidant suddenly understood and smoked for everyone. "Be careful when you go out these days, Hongxing won't give up easily." Ba closed his cigarette and spoke slowly. "That guy from Shibi has sent out a message saying he wants to move us. When you're healed, come with me to Ciyun Mountain and break up Shibi's field." Upon hearing this, everyone remained silent. Shibi, also known as De Lao Bi, is a spokesperson for Hongxing Ciyun Mountain Hall. During this period of time with Liansheng, there has been constant friction with Hongxing. Ba Guan is a red stick under the command of Long Tanko, the father of Liansheng uncle. Because the Tanko of Long Zhen is very close to the Tanko of Boss Bi, these two Tanko are currently the most fiercely clashed. Within this month, the two entrances have been sunbathed 5 times, causing damage to each other. "Why don't you speak? Is there any problem?" Ba closed and saw everyone shut up, his voice slightly raised. "That, Brother Ba Guan." A young man with a complex expression and a timid voice said, "I haven't even paid for the soup and medicine this time. Some brothers can't even afford the medicine." As soon as this sentence is spoken, the other horses all nodded and complained when they saw someone leading the way. "Don't worry, there will definitely be some soup and medicine costs." Ba Guan's expression was somewhat awkward, but he quickly pretended to wave his hand in a grand manner. "The amount that has been released recently has still been confiscated. When it is collected, I will pay for the soup and medicine." Speaking of this, Ba Guan's tone paused for a moment and his gaze turned to Cao Rong. "Ah Rong. What's up, Brother Ba Guan?" Cao Rong heard this and looked at Ba Guan, asking. Ba closed his face and smiled. "Ah Rong, a few times I fought with Hongxing. You did a good job and your skills are also very good. I have decided to promote you." After speaking, Ba Guan snapped his fingers at his confidant beside him. With a deep understanding, he quickly took out 2 photos from his pocket. Ba Guan took the photo and placed it on the table. He gently pushed it towards Cao Rong and said, "The two of them have been owing us money for a long time. You choose one, and when the number is collected, you can follow me in the future." "Say it." Ba Guan turned his head to look at the other horses and said, "You don't have to worry. When Rong collects the money, he will pay for the soup and medicine. You should also work hard, like Rong, there will always be a chance to stand out." The horses heard that the cost of soup and medicine had fallen, and their anxious hearts finally calmed down. In the closed gaze of Ba, Cao Rong held 2 photos on the table in his hand. After only a moment of looking, my face changed slightly. "Brother Ba, this money is not easy to collect. These 2 people, one is Mr. Wei, the boss of Wenwen Township in Wang Tai Sin District. As for the other one, it's a tiger boy selling weapons in Sham Shui Po. I'll go find them to collect the payment. I'm afraid I'll be killed in a minute." Cao Rong spread his hand. As soon as this sentence is spoken, the horses around also had a change in complexion. Huang Daxian, the local snake, is said to be able to kill a horse with just 1 punch. That tiger guy seems to be a seller of weapons, with more weapons in his hands than fire sticks. Finding them to collect data is too difficult. The younger brothers were full of gossip and discussions. Ba Guan turned a deaf ear to the discussions of these little brothers and only looked at Cao Rong on his own. Money is just a small matter, it depends on whether Cao Rong is good enough or not. Upon hearing this, Cao Rong's eyes narrowed slightly. Brother Ba, did I offend you somewhere? Seeing Ba Guan like this, Cao Rong's tone also became a bit impolite. This is not just about collecting money, it's clearly asking me to go and die. Then there's nothing I can do. Ba Guan spread out his hand and said with a smile, I've been running out of money lately, and I can't get my soup and medicine expenses. I can only blame you, Cao Rong, for not having the guts. In his opinion, Cao Rong is just an unknown little brother. And the cost of soup, medicine, and household expenses for this battle is several 100,000 yuan. It's still very cost-effective to offend Cao Rong, a young horse, for these hundreds of thousands. After the wind blows, take out Cao Rong directly. Upon hearing these words, all the younger brothers stopped speaking. In the gaze towards Cao Rong, there was sympathy and helplessness. Although they are short mules, they are not foolish either. Ba Guan doesn't even want to pay them for soup and medicine, and this pot has to be borne by Cao Rong. Suddenly, all the horses lowered their heads. Although I am not angry in my heart, I dare not speak up due to the reputation of Ba Guan. However, just as Ba Guan felt proud in his heart. Pop! A loud bang came, and Cao Rong slammed the photo heavily onto the table. Ba Guan, although I'm out to mess around, I'm not stupid. If you don't want to pay for soup and medicine, it's okay. Do you still want me to take the blame? Are you having a cute mind? Cao Rong directly questioned in a tone that was not friendly. His mother. Ba Shut heard the words and suddenly stood up from the sofa with a sharp look. He thought that Cao Rong would refuse. But I never expected that Cao Rong would have such courage to openly confront him in front of the younger brothers. If there is no indication, how will we continue to mess around in the future? Thinking of this, Ba closed his eyes and said, no big or small, you're riding a horse to seek death. Afraid you won't succeed? Cao Rong retorted sharply. If it were in the past, Cao Rong would have to weigh the strength of both sides. However, after acquiring the resilience characteristic of Texas, Cao Rong's physical fitness significantly improved. Not to mention Ba Guan and a few confidants around him, even with the people present, Cao Rong is confident that he will retreat completely. Reverse, reverse. Ba closed his forehead and his veins twitched as he said, close the door. Today, I'm going to follow the family rules. Upon hearing these words, everyone showed sympathy in their eyes. Ba Guan's family rules, even if you don't die, you have to peel off your skin. However, just as Ba's confidant was preparing to close the rolling shutter of the bathhouse. Bang! A large hand, like a fan, suddenly reached in from outside, directly preventing the rolling shutter door from falling. Brother Dong Rong. You have to ask me first. A heavy voice, coming from outside, although not big, extremely oppressive. No, and here it is. 003, imposing. Deterrence. Chen Haonan is coming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The words fell. Bang bang bang. The rolling shutter door suddenly made a toothache popping sound. This rolling shutter door was originally automatic. However, at this moment, under the push of that hand, it had gradually begun to deform. His mother, come here to make trouble with Liansheng, find. Ba Guan's confidant cursed and cursed. But as the rolling gate deformed and twisted, the sound suddenly stopped. The angry expression on his face was gradually replaced by fear. After a moment. Bang! With the muffled sound of footsteps landing, a strong man bent down and walked in, his huge body directly enveloping his tightly closed body. Hey, don't mess around. This is the territory of Liansheng. The heartfelt alarm sounded, but the voice trembled uncontrollably. mixed with fear. At the same time, the other horses, looking at the giant man bending into the door, also had a wild change in expression. As for Ba Guan, he stood up directly with a solemn expression on his face. The whole venue, only Cao Rong remained calm from beginning to end. The person who comes is not someone else. It was the Noah hand he summoned. What kind of person are you? Dare to cause trouble in the field of Liansheng? Ba Guan asked with a tone of disdain and a wary expression. However, Nuo Shou only glanced at him slowly, then withdrew his gaze and walked straight to stand by Cao Rong's side. Although he didn't speak up and take a glance. But everyone present felt an indescribable oppression. Ba Guan looked at the strong man ignoring him, his expression somewhat awkward, and could only look at Cao Rong. Who is he? My new younger brother, the blue lantern that hasn't paid his respects yet, Cao Rong said in a low voice. Then, his gaze turned to Noan behind him. The appearance of Nuo Shou is almost the same as the image in memory. Quizzy face, serious, not serious in words or laughter. Short hair, firm eyes, and a scar on the forehead make it look even more fierce. The only difference is that the original Noah wore thick armor and a blood-colored cloak. And now, Noah is wearing a basketball vest, with thighs thick, forearms exposed in the air, with bulging veins above, making him look even more fierce and savage. Compared to Nuo Shou, the younger brothers around me. Almost no different from a little chick. Even the muscular Ba Guan is at least 2 heads lower than Nuo Shou, which is not enough to look at. Arnold, you will be my person from now on, just call me Rongge. Yes, Rongge. Noah nodded slowly, his voice filled with loyalty and determination. At the same time, those stunned young horses also gradually regained their senses. Damn it, this big one is a monster, isn't it? Look at this height, it needs to be 2 meters. Are you joking? That door is only 2 meters long. This strong man has to bend down to enter, at least about 2.3 meters. It seems like he's here to find a Rong. When did a Rong take such a fierce little brother? The horses were full of gossip and discussions. Looking at Nuo Shou's gaze, it was also filled with curiosity and surprise. These low-level dwarf mules who come out to mix believe in the supremacy of power. Although I don't know how powerful Noah's fighting ability is, just his body size and the force he just forcefully bent the rolling shutter door are enough to make them feel suffocated. Especially when I saw that Nuo Shou showed great respect to Cao Rong, I was even more surprised. Cao Rong is just an old 49 with Liansheng, how could he accept such a fierce person as his younger brother? If Cao Rong had not heard the discussion of the crowd, his gaze was just scanning back and forth on Ba Guan's body, and his heart was filled with murderous intent. I have already formed a grudge with Bashir today, and the character of Israel and Bashir will definitely not give up easily. Nowadays, Noah's hand has arrived. Perhaps we can find an opportunity to replace it. Just as Cao Rong had decided in his heart to take down Ba Guan. Ding! System task release, eliminate Ba Guan. Take over Ba Guan's position. Task reward. 20 Centurions of the Noxas Legion. The Centurion of the Noxas Legion. Cao Rong's heart moved and his gaze immediately shifted away from Ba Guan's body. The Noxans are brave and skilled in battle. These Centurions are even more capable of handling the situation alone. The most crucial thing is absolute loyalty. Although Cao Rong's subordinates have already made promises, their manpower is still somewhat insufficient. With these absolutely loyal centurions, they can definitely become a major support in the early stage. If you want to take over Ba Guan's position, you have to kill him unconsciously. If possible. It's best to blame someone else. Cao Rong's mind turned rapidly and he clapped his hands as he sat up directly from the chair. With his eyes still showing vigilance and a silent silence, Cao Rong spoke coldly, "Brother Ba, I respect you as the boss. If for the sake of the club, I would go to great lengths and be the first to stand up and fight. But if you want me to die and make me take the blame, I absolutely won't agree. Today I'll leave my words here. Either you pay for the soup and medicine, or I'll go find Uncle Longzhen to judge. Speaking of Longzhen, Ba Guan's solemn expression suddenly became a bit gloomy. Longzhen is his immediate superior, and he is not aware of the fact that he has a lot of personal wealth and is in arrears with medical expenses. If it were in the past, even if Cao Rong stabbed Longzhen, Ba Guan would not have any concerns. After all, he is determined to win in a joint victory, and his combat power can definitely be considered first-class. Even if Longzhen knew he was full of personal resources, he would never do anything to him. But now the situation is different. Ba closed his eyes and scanned Cao Rong and Nuo Shou back and forth with a gloomy expression. On Nuo Shou's body, Ba Guan can vaguely feel an unprecedented crisis. If this matter is exposed, Ba closed his heart and believed that Longzhen was likely to suppress him. And with Nuo Shou's oppressive figure, being a red stick is more than enough to take over his position. Cao Rong, as the eldest brother of Nuoshou, naturally rose in status. Thinking of this, Ba's mouth twitched twice as he was about to speak, only to find that Cao Rong had already stood up and left on his own. You. Ba Guan is about to say something. However, when Nuo Shou saw the solid wood sofa weighing 200 pounds blocking the way in front of him, he picked it up with one hand and threw it aside. He immediately closed his mouth in frustration. Looking at Cao Rong's back, his eyes flickered with murderous intent, but he could only helplessly watch as Cao Rong left. Arrived outside. Night has fallen and the bathhouse is ready to open for business. Nuo Shou looked around and lowered his voice. Rong, should I go and kill him? As long as you give the order, I will fight to the death endlessly. The voice of Noah's hand was resolute, with absolute obedience. Cao Rong pondered for a moment and said, I'll go get a second-hand van later. When there's no one around tonight, I'll take action. And by the way, I'll take out all the horses around him and throw the bodies directly onto Hongxing's territory. Cutting the grass without removing the roots, the spring breeze blows again. Ba Guan and his horse were sunbathing horses on the Hongxing territory, but they were chopped to death. Very reasonable and logical. Not leaving a living mouth. This is very in line with the style of the Nox people. Noah licked his lips, his eyes flashing with a bloodthirsty light. Upon hearing these words, Cao Rong smiled but remained silent. The aggressive personality of the Noxas people is naturally suitable for joining clubs. There are many water wheels on Hong Kong Island. In less than half an hour, Cao Rong obtained a second-hand sea lion bred and parked it near the bathhouse. However, just as Cao Rong got off the car, 4 young people passed by in front of them. The man led by him had a handsome face, with his right thumb clasping his ear and his left hand playing with a lighter. Seeing the faces of this young man and the other 3, a strange light flashed in Cao Rong's eyes. Liang Zai Nan. What is he doing here? It's not someone else who came. It was Hongxing and Chen Haonan, as well as Foreskin, Deterrence, and Chow Pai. As for the mountain chicken, it did not follow Chen Haonan's side. The Grand Palace bathroom, is it? Immediately, Cao Rong seemed to have thought of something and suddenly turned back. In Cao Rong's gaze, Chen Haonan and his group pretended to be customers and entered the bathhouse. Arnold, there's a change in the plan. Since Chen Haonan has arrived, it happens to be used to carry the pot. 004, Brother Ba, have a good journey. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the same time, in the bathhouse, some guests have already arrived one after another. Ba Guan looked around and said, damn it, after waiting so long, why hasn't the foot repairman come yet? Brother Ba, I'll arrange it for you right away. The manager wiped his sweat and quickly ran away all the way. It won't take much time. An old man and a girl aged 17 or 8 came to Ba Guan with a toolbox in hand. Damn it, when there's a chance, I'll make sure that loser Rong looks good on the street. Ba Guan enjoyed the gentle massage of the girl and squinted his eyes slightly. Looking at the beautiful face of the young girl, it seemed like she was new. The anger in her heart gradually turned into evil fire. Taking advantage of the girl's manicure, she touched the girl's chest with her feet. The girl quickly dodged and lowered her head, afraid to speak. Are you new here? Ba Guan looked at the girl with a scared expression and asked with a smiling expression. Brother Ba, she's really new here. The old man next to him couldn't see it and quickly spoke up to relieve the situation. Ba Guan ignored the old man and his gaze remained fixed on the girl. I feel uncomfortable wearing it, take it off. Don't. The girl lowered her head and whispered resistance. Bago, she's only responsible for manicures, not just coming out to do it. The old man quickly smiled and made a comeback. Grass. Ba closed his eyes and kicked the old man aside. The manager heard the commotion here and quickly rushed over, saying, Brother, what happened? Barima's head. Barima stood up directly and slapped the manager to the ground. Tell that old guy to disappear. Ba Guan said to his confidant beside him. It won't be long before he works hard. The old man who had his feet fixed was thrown directly out of the bathhouse. This scene was naturally seen by Cao Rong. Ba Guan, he doesn't respect the old and doesn't care about the young. He has no feces when giving birth. Cao Rong sighed inwardly and saw that the foreskin had already been coated with shower gel and jumped into the sauna. He waved his hand and said, the chubby guy with the foreskin has also started moving. Arnold, let's go, wait for Ba Guan and them to come out. The two are waiting in the herbal tea hall outside the bathhouse. It won't take much time. There was a clamor and a loud noise of broken glass coming from inside the bathhouse. Obviously, Chen Haonan and others have already started to take action. About 3 to 5 minutes later. Bang! The door of the bathhouse was rudely smashed open, and Ba Guan rushed out from inside. He still has a burn on his face, obviously beaten by the handsome guy Nan. Rongge, do you want to take action? Nuo Shou saw this and was about to stand up. Don't worry, wait a little longer. Cao Rong patted Nuo's arm, gesturing for him to calm down. The important person hasn't appeared yet. At this point, Liang Zai Nan and others also chased out of the bathhouse and rushed forward to fight with Ba Guan. 4 people fight each other, but none of them can win. These guys from Liang Zai Nan are really useless. Seeing Liang Zai Nan and others being knocked down by Ba Guan one by one, Cao Rong sneered and shook his head. After all, Ba Guan is the red stick that won with Liansheng. The combat effectiveness is naturally several times higher than that of newcomers such as Chen Haonan. However, just as Ba Guan was preparing to continue running, a young man with a flat head stained with grandmother's gray rushed forward with a fierce expression, and the dagger in his hand, shining brightly, went straight into his closed abdomen. Shanji, here we are. Oh my, I killed someone. Call the police quickly, call the police. Help, someone is committing a crime on the street. The pedestrians on the road were originally still watching the play, but when they saw the mountain chicken shining and seeing blood, they immediately screamed and ran away. All right Arnold, it's time to take action. Cao Rong threw the herbal tea bowl in his hand and stood up, accompanied by Arnold, walking towards the roadside. At this point, Ba Guan was already powerless to resist. He was pinned down by Chen Haonan and several others, unable to move. He was also stabbed several times by the mountain chicken, and his clothes on his lower abdomen were dyed blood red. Seeing this scene, Cao Rong guessed in his heart that Ba Guan was already unlucky. Cao Rong saw that it was almost time and waved his arm. Those who step on horses are the people of Hongxing. Someone, Arnold, do it now. The words have just finished. Arnold beside him rushed out directly. At this moment, Chen Haonan and others had not even had time to withdraw when they saw Arnold, who was like a brown bear, turn around towards them and their expressions changed instantly. "Mountain chicken, stop him!" Chen Haonan shouted fiercely. The mountain chicken was originally still outputting to Ba Guan. Upon hearing Chen Haonan's words, it instinctively turned back. However, just as he turned around, a fist bigger than his head caught his eye. Bang! Accompanied by a dull roar. The mountain chicken's head was directly tilted by the fist, and its broken back teeth flew out of its mouth. The whole person fell heavily to the ground, with blood streaming down their mouths. Weak and powerless. Noah shook the blood on his fist, his voice indifferent. "Shanji, are you okay?" Upon seeing this, Chen Haonan quickly released his grip and helped the pheasant up with his foreskin and others. Looking at the pheasant. The posterior teeth have been shattered, even the chin has been directly dislocated, the mouth is crooked and cannot be closed, saliva and blood mixed, flowing like free money. Hiss! What a great monster power! Chen Haonan looked at the strong man in front of him like an iron tower, and took a breath of cold air in his heart. He quickly reminded the second person in the sky, "Be careful, everyone. This person is from Liansheng." At the same time, Cao Rong also came to everyone. Just now when Cao Rong saw Noah punching, he had a rough understanding of his strength in his heart. In the Noxas Legion, Drey grew up step by step from a small soldier, and his strength was at the pinnacle of the mortal level. Although he did not bring his weapon during the journey. But in terms of force. On Hong Kong Island, it can definitely be considered top-notch. "Rong, I can keep them all." Nuo Shou saw Cao Rong approaching and quickly lowered his voice. However, upon hearing these words, Chen Haonan's face suddenly changed. Looking at Cao Rong, there was an unprecedented level of vigilance. "I didn't expect it. This powerful warrior is actually under the command of this young man. Who is this young man?" He has seen photos of the prominent figures, hall leaders, and red sticks from Liansheng. As for Cao Rong, he has never even seen him. Brother Ba is there. Rotten. Ah Rong is also here, go save Ba Shuj. Don't let Hongxing's people run away. A few urgent cries came from the bathhouse, obviously from Ba Guan's confidant, as well as the onlookers and Liansheng Ma Zai in the bathhouse. "Let's go." Chen Haonan cautiously glanced at Cao Rong and Nuo Shou, and then at Ba Guan on the ground. The reinforcements from Liansheng have arrived. It's too late to conduct an autopsy, so we can only grab a bucket and run away, carrying the pheasant and turning around to run. "Don't chase after me," Cao Rong stopped his pursuit of Nuo Shou. "Go and see how Ba Guan is doing." Immediately, Cao Rong came to Ba Guan's side. You still have a breath." Seeing Ba Guan's lower abdomen thrusting a dagger and his chest still heaving, Cao Rong frowned. Immediately, I caught a glimpse of a lady's bag scattered on the ground as passers-by were fleeing. Before Liansheng's younger brothers arrived, Cao Rong took out a bottle of nail polish from it and quietly kicked it in his pocket. "Brother Bashu, how are you?" A confidant of Bashu ran up to him. "What are you foolishly doing? Hurry up and chase after me." Cao Rong saw this and quickly cursed, "Let Hongxing's people run away, you all have to eat and walk around." "Then you?" that confidant asked in reverse without much time to think. Cao Rong took out the car key and said, "I have a car. I'll take Brother Ba Guanya to the hospital first, otherwise I'll bleed to death." The little brother heard this and looked at the blood hole on his lower abdomen, then gritted his teeth and chased after him. "Can you drive?" Cao Rong looked at Nuo Shou as he supported the horses. "Yes," Noah nodded. "After coming to this world, I have a lot of memories in my mind." "Take him onto the car." Cao Rong waved his hand and asked Noah to carry the bus and close the car. At the same time, under the jolt of the vehicle, Ba Guan spewed out a few mouthfuls of fresh blood and slowly woke up. What caught the eye was Cao Rong with a smile on his face. Brother Bashi, are you awake? Cao Rong smeared nail polish on his hands and smiled. What are you? What are you doing? Ba Guan saw this and his face immediately showed fear. As an old martial artist, he can't help but know. This nail polish is the best tool for hiding fingerprints. Immediately, a sense of foreboding rose in my heart, and the crisis of death quietly spread. Brother Ba, have a good journey. You. Don't. Rongge, I was wrong, right? Ba Guan saw this and quickly begged for mercy. However, before he could finish speaking, he saw the dagger inserted into his stomach, tightly gripped. 005, Cao Rong. It was Chen Haonan and the mountain chicken who did it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2 hours later. Cao Rong walked out of the hospital with a sorrowful expression on his face. Ba Guan hung up. According to the doctor's words, the first few surgeries did not cause any critical injuries, and timely blood transfusion can still save lives. It was just the last blow that injured the internal organs. When I was sent to the hospital, I was still breathing, but my pupils had already begun to dilate. Although the doctor tried his best to save him, Ba Guan still died. When pushed out of the emergency room, his eyes were still wide open and he seemed to be walking peacefully. During the time when the doctor is rescuing Ba Guan, Cao Rong took the time to visit Ba Guan's house and pried open his safe, obtaining nearly 1 million yuan in cash. Killing and setting fire to a golden belt, repairing bridges and roads without remains. The lowest level dwarf mule may not even get 1 million if he works until he dies. Watching Nuo Shou drive away all the money, Cao Rong pouted. No hand can walk, but he cannot. Next, there will be many important figures coming to the hospital. As one of the parties involved in this incident, Cao Rong naturally had to wait for the big brothers of the club to come over, only in this way could he have the opportunity to take over Ba Guan's position. Cao Rong originally thought. The first one to arrive must be Ba Guan's immediate superior, Uncle Longzhen. I never expected it. The first one to come is actually Hong Xing's person. Hospital, morgue. Cao Rong, Ba Guan's confidant, stood silently behind a man in a brown suit. Beside the man, accompanied by a female companion. At this point, the man was looking at the body of Ba Guan, with a deep pain on his face. Just as everyone was silent, the man in the suit grabbed the tissue from the little brother beside him and took a deep breath. Who is so bold, dare to kill me, sworn brother Ba Guan? The man in the suit asked in a cold voice, pulling at the duck's throat. Cao Rong saw someone about to speak and quickly said, it was done by the subordinates of Big Boss B. The leader of the team is called Chen Haonan, and the one who started is called Shanji. This man in a suit is not anyone else. It is the person in charge of the conversation in Hongxing Mongkok, who worships his elder brother Liangkun in a closed manner. Hear Cao Rong's words. Liangkun didn't say much and wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes. Kun, don't be too sad. Liangkun's beautiful and fair-skinned female companion whispered softly next to her. Pa. As soon as the words fell, the woman was fanned aside by Liangkun. I'm so sad. This bastard still owes me over 20 million. Now that he has been chopped to death, who should I ask for it? Bastard. Liangkun pointed at Ba Guan's body and cursed loudly. After a moment, Liangkun waved to his female companion next to him. Seeing the woman's beauty with fear in her eyes, he grabbed her hair and pulled her over. I'm very angry now. After speaking, he pressed the woman down hard. After about a few seconds, Liangkun let out a long sigh and turned to look at Cao Rong. Are you sure it's Chen Haonan and the others? Sure, many people saw it at that time. Cao Rong's face was not red and he was not panting. By the time I arrived, Ba Guan had already been stabbed several times by a mountain chicken, and the people who were taken to the hospital were already exhausted. Upon hearing this, Liangkun turned his head to look at the confidants of Ba Guan. Kun, it was Liang Zai-nan and his team who did it. When we arrived, Brother Ba was still holding a dagger in his stomach. Unfortunately, we couldn't save it. The few confidants in Ba Guan were full of gossip. When Ba closed his knife, they also rushed out of the bathhouse. The situation on site is no different from what Cao Rong described. Although they also suspected that it was possible that Cao Rong had tampered with it, after all, Cao Rong and Ba Guan had had an argument. But when the doctor said that Ba Guan had just been sent to the hospital and was still breathing, his doubts were immediately dispelled in his heart. If it was done by Cao Rong, I'm afraid it's impossible for Ba Guan to get to the hospital alive. However, neither these confidants nor Liangkun knew that Cao Rong had studied anatomy in college before, and his techniques were quite professional. After listening to Ba Guan's confidants, Liangkun didn't think much and withdrew his gaze. "Boss B, there really is you," Liangkun said with a cold expression, ready to go out. Upon seeing this, Cao Rong rolled his eyes and silently followed behind Liangkun. "Why, do you have something else to do?" Liangkun couldn't help but ask when he saw Cao Rong following him. Cao Rong didn't speak upon hearing this, just looked left and right. Liangkun suddenly understood. "All right, there's nothing to look at, let's all scatter." "Silly Chang, you stay." Liangkun directly dismissed everyone, leaving only Silly Chang and the woman beside him. "All right, what's up now?" "I'm very busy," Liangkun urged impatiently. "I just lost over 20 million yuan, and if it were someone else, their mood wouldn't be much better. The 20 million that Ba Guan owes you should be the payment, right?" Cao Rong looked at Liangkun in front of him and asked. "What does it mean?" Liangkun's eyes narrowed as he heard this. As a red stick, Ba Guan cannot possibly have more than 20 million. All of this money is owed to Liangkun for the goods. Among all the masters of Hongxing's hall, only Liangkun has become a fan. And Hongxing doesn't allow fans to follow, so Liangkun can only find people from other clubs to sell goods. And Ba Guan is one of them. Otherwise, the financial resources of Israel and Palestine cannot owe so much money. "Why, are you interested in attracting fans?" Liangkun stared straight into Cao Rong's eyes and asked. "I'm not interested in those things," Cao Rong shook his head. "But I have other ways. As long as you're willing to help me, when I make money in the future, I can naturally make up for the hole I closed." Liangkun sneered, "You're a few years old. What qualifications do you have to talk to me about these things? In your brother Kun's eyes, I'm nothing." Cao Rong's face remained unchanged and he said calmly, "When my mother gave birth to me, she gave me courage. I'll talk to you with this terrible fate. It's only good for you, not bad." "Interesting." Liangkun was amused by Cao Rong's words. "Then tell me what you plan to do." With a smile on his face, Cao Rong took out a cigarette and lit it on his own. Liangkun instinctively reached out to pick it up, but when he saw Cao Rong not continuing to smoke, he couldn't help but twitch slightly at the corner of his mouth. Before he could speak, Cao Rong's voice came. "I know that a few years ago, Kun Gu, you had a grudge against Chen Haonan and the others. With your position as Kun Gu, it's easy to kill those bad guys like Chen Haonan. Even if you're a big shot B, you're not as rich or powerful as you are. But after all, you are from the same family, and due to the same family relationship, you have been keeping one eye open and one eye closed over the years. You support me to take over the position of Ba Guan Gu, and I will take care of Liang Zai-nan and them with my brothers. By doing so, not only can we help Ba Guan seek revenge, but we can also help you vent your anger fiercely. My position with Liansheng will also rise, and the number of dragon roots is getting older. They will retire sooner or later. When the time comes, we will cooperate, 20 million. It's just a small amount. How about it, are you interested in continuing the conversation? Speaking of this, Cao Rong pulled out a cigarette and handed it to Liangkun. Liangkun looked at the cigarette handed over in front of him, and a hint of surprise couldn't help but appear in his eyes. He has seen many brave and fierce short mules before. But the dwarf mule who knows how to plan for the future is still the first time I have seen him. Kill the handsome guys from Nan. It's interesting. Liangkun narrowed his eyes and looked at Cao Rong in front of him. After pausing for a few seconds, Liangkun took the cigarette from Cao Rong's hand and lit it, revealing a tacit smile on both faces. There is still today. Seeking flowers, seeking monthly tickets, seeking evaluation tickets, seeking a reward of 1 yuan. New book set sale, kneeling for support. 006, Guan Zai Sen wants to make a red stick. Come out and have a 1.on.1 fight. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Liangkun and Cao Rong discussed for half an hour. When the two of them reappeared in front of everyone, Liangkun's attitude towards Cao Rong has completely changed, from being indifferent at the beginning to hunching over. It seems that the two of them didn't just get to know each other today. Instead, it feels like a brother who has known each other for many years. A short mule doesn't eat its brain, it will be a short mule for the rest of its life. Liangkun patted Cao Rong's shoulder and said, "Ah Rong, you're very good. I know there aren't many short mules who use their brains now, but unfortunately, you're someone from Liansheng. Otherwise, I really hope you can do things by my side. Although everyone is not in the same club, money can still be earned together." Cao Rong responded with a smile. After explaining a few words, Liangkun waved at Cao Rong and left with his female companion, Silly Chang, and Hong Xingzi. Watching Liangkun and others leave, Cao Rong returned to the corridor and saw the horses who had won with Liansheng, staring at him with big and small eyes. "What are you looking at? Are there any flowers on my face?" Cao Rong's gaze swept over everyone and asked. "He, Brother Rong." A young horse approached with a smile and lit a cigarette for Cao Rong. "Rong, are you very familiar with Kun?" "Of course, we are business partners." Cao Rong sneered in his heart and casually said, "Now that Ba Guangu is also dead, I want to avenge him. As Ba Guan's sworn brother, Liangkun naturally supports me." Upon hearing these words, the horses immediately gathered together. "So it's like this, Brother Rong is so powerful. With Kun Ji's support, maybe Rongge can take over Ba Guan Ji's position. Congratulations to Rongge for being promoted to the Red Stick. In the future, I will rely on Rongge to take care of me. These ponies are all flattering. Ba Shuben is not a good boss, and there are not many people who are truly sad when he dies. Just for these little horses. Ba Guan is now stuck in the street, and they also need to find a new support." Gu Puzi came out and followed a good boss, achieving success with steady progress. If you follow a bad boss, not only will you not make money, but you may even get yourself involved. For these horses, Ba Guan is dead, following Cao Rong is undoubtedly the most suitable choice at the moment. Now that Uncle Long Zhen hasn't arrived yet and the 8 characters haven't been ignored, don't talk nonsense. Cao Rong waved his hand and stopped everyone. However, at this moment, a chaotic sound of footsteps could be heard in the distance. Cao Rong and the others looked towards the direction of the sound. An elderly man in his 60s walked towards the morgue surrounded by several young people. This old man is not anyone else. It is the leader of the Dragon Hall and one of the ancestors of Liansheng uncle, Long Zhen. By Longgen's side, there were also a few and Liansheng losers. The middle-aged man led by him is the confidant of Long Zhen's subordinates, Guan Zai Sr. But what really caught Cao Rong's attention was the man beside Guan Zai Sen, with handsome features and a handsome face. This young man is not anyone else. It's Jimmy. However, Currently, Jimmy hasn't made a name for himself with Liansheng. He's just a little known pony next to Guan Zai Sr. Uncle Long Zhen is here, let's see how he arranges next. Cao Rong restrained his smile and said to the horses around him. Everyone also shut up when they heard this. Under the gaze of Cao Rong and others, Long Zhen approached with Guan Zai Sen and Jimmy Zai. After entering the morgue and seeing Ba Guan's body, Long Zhen's face suddenly became extremely gloomy. Stepping on a horse, that guy from Big Boss B is really going too far, even my people dare to move. Long Zhen's voice was cold, obviously furious to the extreme. In the joint victory, his strength can only be considered average. But for uncles like him, the most important thing is face. As the red stick under his command, Ba Guan was actually killed by Hong Xing's people. It's like hitting his face. Asen, go point troops. Tonight, you've set off a scene for Big Boss B. Long Zhen glanced at Guan Zai Sen beside him and said angrily. Uncle Long Zhen, please calm down first. Guan Zai Sen had a pleasing smile on his face. After Long Zhen's mood calmed down, Guan Zai Sen slowly spoke up and said, Uncle Long Zhen, now that Ba Guan has been taken down and the club doesn't have a new red stick, if we go to war with Hong Xing in a hurry, we may fall into a passive position. Long Zhen gave Guan Zai Sen a fierce cut, can we just sit and wait until nothing happens? If it spreads, others will think that my dragon root is afraid of his boss B. Guan Zai Sen quickly apologized with a smile, Uncle Long Zhen, listen to me first. When you came out to mess around, that guy from Shibi was still a little brat. What's the use of you personally taking action against him? But now, Ba Guan has already had an accident, and the entrance to the hall cannot be without the red stick. What I mean is that we should first select the red stick and directly bring people over to settle the matter. Long Zhen was praised by Guan Zai Sen, and his face finally looked better. Shibi, that little rascal, is really not worth my own effort. So who do you think is suitable for making this stick? Uncle Long Zhen, what do you think of me? Guan Zai Sen smiled and pointed to himself, in terms of seniority, I was even earlier than Ba Guan. It's been more than 20 years now, and there's been hard work without merit. You. Long Zhen glanced at Guan Zai Sen and frowned. In terms of qualifications, Guan Zai Sen did not say anything. 20 years ago, Guan Zai Sen followed him all the way. However, in terms of ability after so many years of understanding, Long Zhen naturally knows what kind of virtue Guan Zai Sen is. Standing a stick. I really can't lift a big beam. Choose someone else, but not sure who is suitable. Just as Long Zhen was feeling conflicted in his heart. Uncle Long Zhen, just give me this stick. I will avenge brother Ba Guan. A indifferent voice sounded. Long Zhen followed the sound and saw that it was none other than Cao Rong standing not far away who was speaking. The words have just finished. Before Long Zhen could speak, Guan Zai Sen frowned and his gaze was unfriendly. Who are you? My name is Cao Rong, the leader of Ba Shuj's subordinates. Cao Rong casually spoke. As for those subordinates before Ba Guan, now they all follow Cao Rong's lead, and no one will come forward to expose them. It turned out to be a little rascal. Guan Zai Sen sneered and shook his head. Kid, if you want to stand a stick, are you qualified? Qualification. Cao Rong looked at Guan Zai Sen and said, I don't know if he has enough qualifications, but the most important thing about being a red stick is that his fists are strong enough. Speaking of this. Cao Rong slowly unbuttoned his shirt and took it off. Senj, I respect you as a senior. You should take action first. Cao Rong casually threw his clothes to the horse beside him and lazily said. This. Guan Zai Sen looked at the explosive linear muscles on Cao Rong's body, and the corner of his mouth twitched. His own strength is average. After so many years of indulging in extravagance, gambling, and being carefree,
I have long been drained of my body by alcohol and sex, so I naturally know that I am not a match for Cao Rong. But soon, Guan Zai Mori's eyes rolled. Fighting you? I'm afraid others will say I'm bullying the younger generation. Jimmy, go take care of him. Guan Zai Sen waved his hand at Jimmy beside him and said in an old-fashioned manner. Jimmy's eyes flashed with helplessness when he heard Guan Zai Sen's words. He has been with Guan Zai Forest for many years, and every time something happens, Guan Zai Forest always asks him to come out and block it. What are you doing in a daze? Why don't you go quickly? Guan Zai Sen urged when he saw Jimmy standing in place. However, just when both sides are at a loss. Brother Rong, what's your identity? If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. A thunderous sound suddenly came from the end of the corridor. Upon hearing this, a smile appeared at the corner of Cao Rong's mouth. Nuo Shou is back. 007, Guan Zai Sen and Jimmy. Noxas 100. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A thunderous explosion suddenly sounded. Long Zhen, Guan Zai Sen, Jimmy and others followed the sound to look. I saw a strong man like an iron tower walking towards the corridor of the hospital. The strong man bent slightly, his head almost touching the light panel on the hallway ceiling. A pair of big hands looks like a fan, with arms as thick and thin as thighs, and veins bulging on the forearms, making them look particularly ferocious. Amidst the astonished gazes of the crowd, Nuo Shou strode towards this side. Although he didn't speak, the little brothers on both sides still instinctively swallowed their saliva and instinctively stuck to the walls on both sides, making way for Noah. Who is this person? In an instant. Whether it was Long Zhen, Guan Zai Sen, or even Jimmy, who was not interested in mixed clubs, the same doubts couldn't help but emerge in his heart. My gaze also became alert. From the other person's appearance, even if they think with their toes, it is possible that they have come out to cheat. If it were someone from Hongxing, I can't imagine the consequences. The person who came is none other than Nuo Shou. Just as Long Zhen and others were feeling uneasy. Uncle Long Zhen, don't be nervous. This is my new younger brother. Cao Rong smiled faintly and said, he came to pay respects a few days ago and hasn't officially taken up his position yet. He can only be considered a blue lantern. Blue lantern. Even if it is an elderly and experienced dragon root. When he heard these words, his old eyes couldn't help but stare wide in an instant. The Hong Kong Island Club, officially known as Ma Zai, is considered a 49-year-old. After 3 years of working in the club, it is also known as Old 49. And those young people who lack qualifications and have not yet paid their respects, but also work for the club, are called Blue Lanterns. The giant man in front of me has only recently joined the Dragon Hall. Good guy. This fierce aura, tower-like figure, and ferocious face. Not to mention the Blue Lantern, even the double flower red stick cannot be compared to it. Is he your little brother? After a long pause, Uncle Long Zhen finally regained his senses and looked at Cao Rong with suspicion. Yes, Uncle Long Zhen. Cao Rong nodded with a smile. Not bad, he's a good seedling. Long Zhen is also an old martial artist. When he saw Cao Rong nodding again, he suddenly regained his senses and a smile appeared on his face. After the matter with Ba Guan is resolved, I will personally assign him a position. With Long Zhen's eyesight, it is natural to see that Nuo Shou is simply a natural member of the club. Now Ba Guan is dead, and the Dragon Hall lacks a great general. With such talent, he naturally won't let it go. However, just as Long Zhen thought that Nuo Shou would be filled with joy, he gratefully agreed. I refuse. Nuo shook his head and then turned to look at Cao Rong. I was brought in by Brother Rong. Now Brother Rong is in the 4th or 9th rank. If I were to hold a position in the 4th or 9th rank, wouldn't it be the same as Brother Rong's seniority? It's rumored that others will say that I, Arno, do not distinguish between superiority and inferiority. Upon hearing this, Longzhen narrowed his eyes slightly and took a deep breath. Looking at Cao Rong next to him, his smile unchanged. After a long pause, he slowly spoke up and said, Rong, you have taken in a good brother. You should cultivate him well in the future. Don't worry, Uncle Longzhen, Cao Rong smiled. I'm from Longtang. I won't disappoint you, Uncle Longzhen. I heard Cao Rong give me a step down. Longzhen just nodded. Subsequently, Cao Rong turned his head and glanced at Guan Zai Sen. Asen, let's be fair. If you send my younger brother to fight me, I will also send my younger brother to fight you. It's really not possible for you two to go together. Don't worry, I'll bully you. This. Guan Zai Sen heard this and looked at Nuo Shou, whose arms were thicker than his waist, instinctively taking several steps back. Fight this monster. Don't say he teamed up with Jimmy. Even if 20 people come together, they will probably be beaten one by one. At this moment, Jimmy was also intimidated by the momentum of Noah's hand. Although he couldn't help but feel some drumming in his heart. But he gritted his teeth without retreating, still standing in front of Guan Zai Sr. Seeing this scene, Cao Rong remained calm and nodded inwardly. He is truly Jimmy. Although still young now, he has the courage and determination that ordinary short mules do not have. This kind of talent, if given the opportunity, will definitely attract them to work around them. If it doesn't work, then take it out. To avoid becoming enemies, Cao Rong secretly thought to himself. Come on, who are you fighting me? Nuo took a step forward and stood in front of Jimmy. Jimmy and Guan Zai Sen saw the situation and quickly stood guard. Just as both sides were drawing their swords and crossbows. All right. Uncle Longzhen suddenly shouted, I haven't chosen yet, so my own people are fighting first. Let others laugh at me. What Uncle Longzhen said is true. Guan Zai suddenly breathed a sigh of relief and quickly took a step back. Rotten Zai Rong, let me tell you. It's not that I'm afraid of you, it's that I'm worried about hurting you. For languages like Guan Zai Sen that have no deterrent power. Cao Rong sneered silently. Alright, don't argue either. Longzhen stopped the conversation between Cao Rong and Guan Zai Sen, and then took a deep look at Cao Rong and Nuo Shou. Ah Rong, do you think you are the leader of Ba Guan? Yes, Uncle Longzhen. Cao Rong nodded. Since you are the leader of Ba Guan, according to the rules of the club, if the elder brother dies, the younger one should seek revenge for him. At present, you can temporarily take over the position of Ba Guan. After you avenge Ba Guan, I will help you establish your position, and from now on, you will be the red stick of our Dragon Hall. Speaking of which, Longzhen glanced at Guan Zai Sen and said, then, you can also block someone else's mouth. Understood, Uncle Xia Longzhen is promoted. Upon hearing this, Cao Rong's lips lit up with a faint smile. At the same time, the system prompt sound also rang in Cao Rong's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully taking over the position of Ba Guan. Reward 20 centurions of Texas, will it be immediately realized? 008, Liangkun. It's only been an hour, you can do it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Send Longzhen away, and Cao Rong also leaves the hospital. Although only temporarily receiving a red stick. But now Cao Rong has the right to drive the bus. Arnold, find a hidden public telephone booth, Cao Rong said to Nuo's hand as he returned to the car. Upon hearing the words, Nuo Shou quickly nodded. The hospital is not far from the suburbs, and soon the two of them drove to the suburbs and parked next to an unused public telephone booth. Cao Rong got off the car and observed the surroundings. After confirming that there is no one around, enter the telephone booth to deposit coins and dial a string of phone numbers written on your palm. It won't take much time. Hello, who is that?
On the phone, there came the iconic male duck voice of Liangkun. It doesn't sound like Liangkun's tone is good. In addition, one can also vaguely hear the woman's muffled groans. "Kun, your anger is still as strong as ever," Cao Rong said with a smile. "Rong, what's up?" Liangkun was surprised to ask. After all, the two had just separated for over an hour. "What else can I do?" "Make money." Cao Rong smiled. "Make money? What money?" "Wait, you made a red stick." Liangkun was initially puzzled, but then seemed to have thought of something, and her voice suddenly increased by an octave. The two had planned for a long time before in the morgue. After all, in Liangkun's opinion, Cao Rong is a potential stock. Now that Guan is dead, the other people involved are either from the Dengbo faction, or from the arrogant uncle generation, as well as the arrogant and domineering Big D and the smiling and hidden Aolo. The D Liangkun doesn't really like it, and as for Ale and those uncles and elders, they are all ghosts and spirits, and he doesn't want to deal with these people either. There is no other way to choose Cao Rong. But Liangkun is not foolish either. He wouldn't invest in it just based on Cao Rong's 2 words. All collaborations have a prerequisite. That is Cao Rong, relying on his own abilities, taking over the position of Guan. Originally, Liangkun thought that even if Cao Rong could take over the position of Guan, it would take at least half a month. "I didn't expect it. It's only been an hour, and it's only time for a meal." "Did Cao Rong take the position of the red stick?" "Rong, wait a moment at the phone booth," Liangkun instructed, and then hung up the phone. Compared to before, the language is a bit more polite. Cao Rong naturally knew that Liangkun had gone to find someone to verify this matter, and he was not in a hurry. He waited quietly at the phone booth. Just as he left, Cao Rong had already instructed his subordinates to release the news and confirm it through Liangkun's means, which should not be difficult. It took less than 2 minutes. The phone booth's slightly piercing bell rang. Cao Rong looked at the trembling phone and paused for more than 10 seconds before answering it. "Damn it, Rong, have you really become a red stick? You're so powerful." On the phone, there came the joyful voice of Liangkun. "Kun, you clearly don't believe me. You still need to find someone to investigate me," Cao Rong sneered. "Where are you talking, brother? Your speed in handling things, not to mention me. Even the Hong Kong governor would be surprised if he heard this." Liangkun chuckled, not only taking over the matter, but also secretly flattering. Cao Rong had no intention of arguing with Liangkun and said with a smile, "Can we start our cooperation now?" "No problem. How much does it cost?" "Tell me the number," Liangkun smiled over the phone. "I'm going to avenge Guan recently, and even recruit soldiers and horses from the side of the Ciyun Mountain where we are planting flags. How about 2 million? Cao Rong pondered for a moment and asked. For Cao Rong now, the most important thing is expansion. A mere red stick position naturally cannot satisfy one's appetite. Either don't do it, or grow it. Although Ciyun Mountain is not a fertile ground, its level of chaos is almost comparable to that of Kowloon. The bad guys who worked there, each brave and fierce, were all good seedlings of the gang. Since we want to plant the flag at Ciyun Mountain, why don't we just beat up Ciyun Mountain and treat it as our main rear area for recruiting troops and horses? Although now, Cao Rong has obtained 1 million from the dead ghost Guan. But this 1 million is just a drop in the bucket. Even with the addition of Liangkun's 2 million, it is only enough for the initial operation. 2 million. Liangkun hesitated. His plan in his heart is to give Cao Rong 1 million first and then see the effect. 2 million, some exceeding his acceptance range. Why, Kun, your family is so big that you can't even afford 2 million, right? Cao Rongyu lowered his pressure and asked. Upon hearing this, Liangkun fell silent for a moment. I immediately gritted my teeth. Okay, brother, 2 million is 2 million. I'll have Silly Chong deliver it later. Thinking about Cao Rong's efficiency in handling affairs, Liangkun still agreed to Cao Rong's request. Then I wish us a pleasant cooperation in advance. Upon hearing this, Cao Rong's voice finally lit up with a smile. By the way, Kun, I remember there were several electronic cities over there, right? Electronic city. Liangkun was taken aback for a moment and then said, that's right, it's just a small fight. When I ask Silly Chong to give me money later, please also help me bring a few big phones. Cao Rong thought for a moment and said, also, I received news that JVC home cameras have been selling very well in Europe and America recently. If you have channels, maybe we can make some money together. Make some small money. How much money can there be? Upon hearing about making money, Liangkun suddenly became interested. Don't worry, if the business starts, the return will definitely be 10 times, 100 times more than what you put in. Cao Rong said with a smile. Half an hour later. Cao Rong returned directly to the bathing area of the Grand Palace. As soon as he returned to the bathhouse, a well-dressed and slightly bald young man greeted him and said, Brother Rong, there are 20 fierce and ferocious men looking for you, saying they are your brothers. Where are they? Cao Rong's heart moved. Previously, when the Centurion of Texas was present, Cao Rong set their gathering point at the Grand Palace bathroom. Now it seems that the people have arrived. I asked the manager to take them to the lobby, the young man quickly said. Not bad. Cao Rong nodded and then remembered something, turning his head to look at the young horse. By the way, what's your name? Rongge, my name is Ah Hao. The horse respectfully responded. Ah Hao. Cao Rong whispered softly and then nodded, the arrangement is good. You can follow me from now on. Upon hearing this, Ah Hao was immediately overjoyed and nodded in agreement. Entered the hall. Cao Rong did indeed see 20 bald men sitting on the sofa with bare arms. At the same time, those big men, as if sensing something, turned their heads directly. After seeing Cao Rong and Nuo Shou, he quickly stood up and came to the front. As Centurions of Texas, they naturally know the status of Noah in Texas. If they look at Noah's hand with respect now. Looking at Cao Rong's gaze, it was a genuine awe. As early as when summoned, their minds were already branded. In their eyes, Cao Rong is no different from the gods. Even if they were to die, they would never betray him. His gaze swept over these centurions, and Cao Rong nodded in satisfaction. These centurions, although almost a head lower than Noah's hands. But compared to an ordinary horse, it can definitely be considered a giant level. The muscles on the body are tangled and the scars crisscross, indicating that he has experienced countless battles. However, what truly surprised Cao Rong was. As Ah Hao approached these centurions, his breathing became thick and heavy, his eyes turned red, and even the muscles on his arms became slightly swollen. Cao Rong's heart moved and he said, is it a halo skill? At the same time, the system's prompt sound also sounded in Cao Rong's mind. Norse Centurion, a seasoned warrior. Under their influence, even cowards can become fierce and fearless. I am currently coding and there will be more in 2 hours. The new book sets sail, seeking flowers, monthly tickets, recommended tickets, and a reward of 1 yuan. Various requests. 009, insert the flag at Ciyun Mountain. Payment, land acquisition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Indeed, it is a halo skill. After listening to the introduction of the system, Cao Rong immediately understood and was immediately overjoyed. On Hong Kong Island, there is a saying. De Zai produces Hong Xing, Si Zai produces Dong Xing, and Lian produces chicken essence. When it comes to being able to fight, Hongxing society is definitely second to none. The combat effectiveness of Dongxing society's Mazai is not as good as that of Hongxing,
but most of Dongxing Tanko rely on fans for a living and have strong financial resources. As for He Liansheng, a small number of hall owners make a living through smuggling, while the vast majority are engaged in superficial business. In terms of the number of people, there are the most winning members, with over 50,000 people. But in terms of combat effectiveness, the winning horse is the most competitive. But for Cao Rong, playing with Liansheng Mazai has obviously become history. Those who are horizontal are afraid of being stunned, while those who are stunned are afraid of not dying. The strength of these Texas centurions is not weak, and they can definitely be considered as the top tier among those quirky kids on Hong Kong Island. And with the Halo skill, if all of them are released and each leads a team of bad guys, then these bad guys will definitely unleash extremely terrifying combat power. Cao Rong asked Ah Hao to take care of himself first. After Ah Hao leaves, how many people can each of you lead at most? Cao Rong's gaze swept over these Texas centurions and asked. The centurion standing on the far left quickly spoke up, Rongge, we are centurions, and each person can lead up to 100 people. 100 people. A satisfied expression appeared in Cao Rong's eyes. These 20 centurions are enough to support 1,000-strong army. You know, although major clubs have a large number of people. But normally, there are only about 100 or 200 people, which is quite impressive. Unless it's a decisive battle, of course that's another story. At present, these 20 centurions are definitely enough. However, currently, Cao Rong still faces a problem. That's enough to lead the team. There are only a few dozen horses below. Cao Rong roughly calculated in his heart that Ba Guan, as a red stick, usually had 200 to 300 blue lanterns under his command. Now the streets are closed, and many blue lanterns that have not yet paid their respects quietly leave and join other clubs. There are already less than 100 people who can use it. At this moment, Rongge, there's someone outside named Silly Chang saying that Liangkun sent him to find you. Ah Hao knocked on the door and reported. Silly strong. It seems that the money is in place. Upon hearing this, Cao Rong immediately left the door with his hands full of promises and a centurion. Just as he arrived at the door, Cao Rong saw the van of Liangkun Film and Television parked at the entrance. Rongge, congratulations. Silly Chang saw Cao Rong and quickly congratulated him. When looking up to see Noah and the ferocious centurion, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly and he took a few steps back without leaving a trace. So, have you brought anything over? Cao Rong ignored the silly gaze and asked. I brought it over, money and things are all inside. Silly Chang quickly responded and then took the driver to remove a snake-skin bag and 20 unopened phones from the car. Just leave it in my office. Cao Rongfen instructed Foolish Chang to put all the money and Big Brother in the office. After Silly Chang and the driver leave, Cao Rong pondered for a moment and said, Arnold, go and call Ah Hao in for me. Noah nodded and left, and in no time, he called Ah Hao in. Rongge, are you looking for me? Ah Hao asked. Cao Rong nodded and directly opened the leather bag containing the money. Here is 1 million. Cao Rong left 1 million yuan on the table, among them, 200,000 yuan was given as soup and medicine expenses, and the remaining money was used to recruit people. Although there are not enough manpower now, Cao Rong has decided that since he has taken over the position of Ba Guan, he must establish his reputation as soon as possible. Now the outside world believes that Ba Guan died at the hands of Chen Haonan and others. That's why. Directly planting flags on Ciyun Mountain and entering the territory of Boss B is undoubtedly the best choice. Both Nuo Shou and the 20 centurions Cao Rong are useful, and as for recruitment, it can only be done by Ah Hao at the moment. Looking at the money on the table, Hao's lips couldn't help but tremble slightly. Rong, am I responsible for this matter? If you don't doubt someone, don't doubt them. Cao Rong glanced at him and smiled. Upon hearing this, Hao's eyes immediately showed a grateful light.
The luckiest thing for Gafuzi is to have a good big brother. As a low-level member of the club, Hao has never seen anything like 1,000,000 or even 100,000 yuan. Cao Rong's trust is enough to make him deeply grateful. Don't worry, Rongge. I will release the news and handle this matter beautifully. Hao carefully stacked the money together and threw it to the ground, saying in a loud voice. Cao Rong nodded with a smile when he saw the situation. Looking at Rong's bald head, Cao Rong's eyes rolled and he said, by the way. Do you have a brother named Xiaoma? Upon hearing this, Hao was momentarily taken aback, then quickly nodded and said, yes, Rongge. Xiaoma is my brother who grew up with me since childhood. He originally wanted to join our club, but couldn't stand some of Ba Guanji's style. So he decided to go to Huangdaxian Square to sell beef offal. Let him come over and tell him I won't treat him unfairly. Cao Rong patted Hao's shoulder. I understand, Rongge, I'll go contact Xiaoma now. Hao nodded enthusiastically upon hearing this. Just as Hao was about to leave. By the way, Hao, there's one more thing. Cao Rong pondered for a moment, then handed over 200,000 yuan to Hao. Give me 200,000 yuan in bonuses. I want to know the whereabouts of those people like Chen Haonan. Now Ba Guan has just died. Chen Haonan, the mountain chicken and others must be hiding and not daring to see anyone. There are more rotten kids on Hong Kong Island than mice on the ground. Instead of putting in a lot of effort to find them, it's better to directly mark the flowers and let those rotten kids find them. At this moment. Ding. System task release. Little reputation. Task requirements. 1. Build a territory in Ciyun Mountain. 2. Accumulate 5 million reserve funds, and 3. The number of horses under his command reaches 300. Task completion reward. Devon's loyalty. Draven. Cao Rong suddenly became interested. Draven doesn't need to say much, nor Han's younger brother. In the realm of ordinary people, his combat power is definitely top-notch and he is the strongest clearing player in the Noxus arena. With his joining, it will definitely become a great help. Now Hao has gone to recruit people, so it shouldn't be difficult to have 300 young brothers. Since we need to go to Ciyun Mountain to plant flags, we definitely need to lay down a piece of land. As for those 5 million. Cao Rong couldn't help but frown slightly. Now I have nearly 3 million in my hands, and I have already given Hao 1.2 million. There is still a certain gap between 5 million. We must find a way to quickly get this money. Accidentally, Cao Rong glanced at the corner of the table and casually discarded 2 photos. These 2 photos are none other than Wang Tai Sin Wei Yi and Sham Shui Put Tiger Boy. I almost forgot, these guys still owe Tanko money. Mr. Wei alone owes over 4 million yuan. If it were in the past, you would have to weigh your account before asking for it, but now. Looking at the information on the back of Wei Ye's photo, Cao Rong's mouth curved slightly. A few days later. Under Hao's full efforts, a large amount of money was scattered. And Cao Rong's subordinates quickly expanded to 300 people. These scumbags may not have much combat power, but with the amplification of the Norse Centurion aura, their combat power is by no means comparable to that of ordinary members of Hong Kong Island clubs. After the number of recruits is sufficient. Cao Rong also called Nuo Shou to his side. Arnold, call on the brothers and go to the Gentle Country nightclub. 010, Guo Jinfeng. Open the door, the church sends warmth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ciyun Mountain belongs to the Huangdaxian district. Wei Ye's gentle rural nightclub is located near Ciyun Mountain. Although compared to those oily nightclubs, they are still far behind. But in places like Wang Tai Sin where birds don't defecate, it can be considered as one of the taller ones among the dwarves, and in terms of scale and luxury, it can also be considered second to none in the entire Wang Tai Sin district. At this moment, inside the nightclub, Wei Yi, dressed in a blue suit and wearing a gold watch, was sitting in the office with a big golden sword. In front of him, there were still 5 young women standing. 4 of them are heavily makeup and bright makeup, which looks like little sister. There was only one girl with short hair, wearing a washed white shirt, hanging her head and fiddling with the corners of her clothes at a loss. Wei Yi, these new girls. Wei Ye's head horse, who was Stinky, introduced himself and paused halfway before a lewd smile appeared on his face. That one with short hair, who just graduated from Ciyun High School, seems to be still young. Just graduated students. Upon hearing these words, Lord Wei suddenly became interested and said, "How old is it? What is its name?" "I have looked at my resume, and her name is Guo Jinfeng, from Wings on the Wing." "She's just turned 18, said Stinky One with a lewd smile on her face. "She thought we were calling for a cashier here, so she came to apply." "Cashier? When we call this a restaurant?" Upon hearing this, Wei Yi immediately became happy. Looking at the pretty face of the young girl, with a slightly restrained expression, the washed white clothes and shoes, my heart suddenly felt 7 or 8 points of trust. "You stay." Wei Yi pointed to Guo Jinfeng and then glanced at the Stinky article. "As for the rest, I'll give you a clock test." Upon hearing these words, De Sure was immediately overjoyed. Previously, nightclub clock tests were mostly done by Mr. Wei himself. Surprisingly, I can still divide a few of them today. It seems that Guo Jinfeng has a lot of sexual interest. Sure enough. Men will always like those who are 18 years old. "Thank you, Mr. Wei. Then I won't disturb you." Stinky One quickly rubbed his hands. "Although I didn't get Guo Jinfeng, it's also good to get those little girls. Anyway, after tonight, Guo Jinfeng will also work at the nightclub in the future, and there will be plenty of opportunities." Just as Stinky Bun was about to leave, seemingly thinking of something else, he turned to look at Wei Yi and said, "Wei Yi, have you heard about Ba Guan? I heard that I was hung up by a few rough guys from Hongxing. Why are you doing well? What is that street thug for?" Wei Ye's face was puzzled, not understanding why Stinky Bun suddenly mentioned this. "Wei Yi, I heard that now a little rascal named Cao Rong has taken over Ba Guan's position." Speaking of this, Stinky One quickly lowered his voice and said, "I heard that before Ba Guan was killed, he asked this Cao Rong to come to us for debt collection. Now that he has become a red stick, will he? Are you saying that Cao Rong will come to find us?" Wei Yi asked in response. Stinky Fart quickly nodded. "She." Wei Yi sneered contemptuously upon seeing this. "Even if Ba Guan lives, he doesn't have the courage to ask me for money. What is this Cao Rong? He hasn't even heard of it." What Lord Wei said is, no matter how hard those red sticks on Hong Kong Island can be beaten, none of them are polite in front of Lord Wei. Stinky Fart One saw Lord Wei's disdain on his face and immediately flattered him. Upon hearing this, Wei Yi immediately smiled and raised his fist the size of a sandbag. "Let's not say that I don't have the money to give him now. Even if I have it, I won't give it to him." Wei Yi himself belongs to the type of strong body without losing weight. He relied on his pair of iron fists to stand firm in a chaotic place like Ciyun Mountain. Once upon encountering a horse on the mountain, he was startled and punched it to death. Since then, Wei Ye's reputation has spread on the road. Even those red sticks who are famous for their martial arts skills are naturally polite when they see him. This is also the reason why Ba Guan never dared to come and ask for the account before his death. In Wei Ye's opinion, my own pair of iron fists, combined with the over 100 brothers under my command. Cao Rong. Just a little rascal. Hurry up and get out of here, I still have to deal with serious matters. Wei Yi drove Stinky Bun and those little girls away. After hearing the sound of locking at the door, he immediately stood up. "Your name is Afeng, isn't it?"
Wei Yi untied the large gold watch in his hand and threw it onto the table, approaching Guo Jinfeng. Upon seeing this, Guo Jinfeng instinctively took a step back, but still nodded. Seeing Guo Jinfeng so reserved, Wei Ye's heart was filled with evil fire. The job of accompanying wine should be very challenging for you. First, take off your shirt and let Wei Yi see how your figure is. Take off your clothes. I'm here to apply for a cashier position. Guo Jinfeng quickly shrunk to the corner of the wall. Cashier. Shit. Upon hearing this, Lord Wei sneered, which cashier can't do it? You look so beautiful, you definitely need to accompany the wine. I won't do it anymore. As Wei Yi approached, Guo Jinfeng quickly shook his head like a tambourine. Seeing Wei Yi getting closer and closer, Guo Jinfeng quickly turned around and went to open the door. Gotta. After twisting hard for a while, I found that the door had been locked. Seeing that Wei Yi had already untied his waistband, Guo Jinfeng felt anxious and saw the thermos next to him. He immediately picked it up and threw it at Wei Yi. Damn it, bitch. The thermos exploded, and Wei Yi immediately took a step back. Just as he was about to step forward, he realized that Guo Jinfeng had picked up fragments of a thermos from the ground and pointed at his snow-white neck. Don't come over. Guo Jinfeng warned. Oh, it's quite fierce. Wei Yi sneered when he saw this. It doesn't matter if you're dead, but I remember your resume said, you still have dad, mom. By the way, it seems like you have a little sister. You. Guo Jinfeng froze in place upon hearing this. She can die on her own, it's not a big deal. But what will my family do? The beast in front of me can do anything. At this moment. Dong dong dong. The knocking on the door suddenly sounded. Who? Wei Yi frowned and shouted impatiently. Wei Yi, there's someone named Cao Rong who said he wants to see you. The voice of the younger brother came from outside the door. Cao Rong. And that scumbag from Liansheng. Wei Ye's heart twitched and he impatiently cursed, tell him you don't want money, let him go. The sound of footsteps outside the door faded away. Wei Yi looked at Guo Jinfeng again and took out a camera from the cabinet, placing it on the table. His gaze was on Guo Jinfeng, wandering recklessly. If you want to prevent any trouble for your family, just obediently take off your clothes. Also, don't think about reporting to the police afterwards, unless you want the tape to spread and make yourself rotten and smelly. Upon seeing this, Guo Jinfeng immediately closed his eyes in pain, tears streaming from the corners of his eyes. I intended to die, but my parents and little sister at home thinking of family. Guo Jinfeng had no choice but to compromise and slowly reached out to the button. That's right. Upon seeing this, Wei Yi immediately smiled and said, young, with a good figure and beautiful appearance, why can't we get along with money? However, just as Guo Jinfeng's hand touched the button. Box. 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 The knocking on the door rang out again. But this time, the sound was several times louder than last time, and it's not even an exaggeration to describe it as smashing a door. The strength is so great that it can even directly shake off a piece of dust. His mother, what's the matter? The good thing was interrupted twice, and Mr. Wei roared directly. The church sends warmth. Outside the door, a faint voice could be heard. Treading on a horse to seek death. Upon hearing this, Wei Yi became angry and instinctively thought it was some clever little brother who was joking with him. However, in just a moment, Wei Yi frowned. Not right. This voice is too unfamiliar. However, this idea just sounded. Bang bang. With a crisp bang, the solid wood door was directly removed by Sheng. It's natural for me to pay off debts without even seeing my face. Isn't this a bit against the rules of the martial arts world? In Wei Ye's gaze, a handsome young man walked slowly in. What kind of person are you,
my subordinates' brothers. Upon seeing this, Wei Yi immediately frowned. However, in just a moment, Wei Yi seemed to think of something and his face suddenly changed. Are you with Cao Rong from Liansheng? Continue sending in 2 hours. P.S. The new book data is dismal, reaching a historic low. Readers, please provide some data. Flowers, evaluation tickets, monthly tickets, 1 yuan reward. The seedling stage of the new book requires support, give some encouragement, and let the young author happily code it down.